This outfit.
It's my favorite outfit you've had.
Oh, thank you.
Because I love when men mix polka dots, plaid.
Oh, thank you.
Your tie matches your mask, and you have a mask on, so that's good. No, I like it.
Fair. I did write that.
Oh, I didn't. I haven't looked. It's a good day in the neighborhood. I would leave it on and take it off. Especially because it's green.
Did you put another filter inside?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
This is just broke. I'd like to call this Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, Oldsmar City Council meeting to order. If you would all please rise. The invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by our City Attorney, Tom Trask. But before he begins, I'd ask that all of you pause for a moment of silent meditation and remembering an employee who we lost. We just learned that we lost recently, Renee Taggart. So if you just please bow your head and assume an attitude of prayer. Thank you. Tom?
Our Heavenly Father, as the citizens of the city of Oldsmar meet together to address our local concerns and opportunities, we give thanks to you for the bounty that we enjoy in all aspects of our community life. We ask for your inspiration to strive for excellence in our endeavors to serve the public. Please grant us peace in our world and harmony between all people to your greater glory. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Well, before we get going, just a couple of things that I'd like to mention. Number one, we are following COVID-19 protocols from the CDC. All of us up here have our face masks either on or off when we're not speaking, but when we are speaking, we typically have them off, and that's why we're spread out up here. But we'd ask that everybody in the room please continue to wear a mask unless you're up at the podium speaking. Then you're certainly welcome to take it off if you're comfortable, or you can leave it on if you'd like. That's up to you. We do have a little something unique going on tonight that I would like to share with everybody. It is kind of a trial run, so we didn't promote it real well. Some of you may know that the city recently made a pretty heavy investment in upgrading our equipment here in the chamber, and we are streaming live finally. So kind of excited about that, right? Yeah, that's worth an applause, I think. Let's see how that goes. We didn't promote it in case we have a technical issue and, you know. Now we will. Now it'll crash. We're also concerned about the bandwidth of all the people flocking to the site, so we just want to kind of ease into that. All right, next item on the agenda is the Citizens Open Forum. You can speak about anything that you wish, with the exception of item number 10, which is a public hearing, and you'll be allowed to speak on that issue when that time comes. And we only have a few rules. Number one, you have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you clearly state your name and address and include the city, please. We don't want to assume that you're from the city of Oldsmar. All right, with that, I'm going to start on this side of the room. Is there anybody who'd like to speak in the Citizens Open Forum? I see two characters in the back, so I'm just going to call them up.
Evening, Council. I'm Mike McKnight. My address 881 Edge Hill Drive, Palm Harbor. But I'm here on behalf of Oldsmar Cares, is my compatriot, but I won't introduce her until a little later. You'll find out why. So, a little music, if you would.
Am I supposed to dance?
You can pretend you're singing.
So,
Okay, now you know who my compatriot is. That's
Hello, everyone.
Joan Jett.
Otherwise known as Brenda Gollin, 2030 Montego Court, Oldsmar, Florida.
Okay, so we're here tonight to talk about the 11th annual Oldsmar Cares Gala, which is next month, Thursday, February 18th, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's different this year. It's a virtual event. Can't have it in person like we do every year at Nielsen. It's going to be a live streaming event, and I want to thank the city not only for supporting Oldsmar Cares, but this room is going to be the streaming site for the event. We just got that procured, and we're going to test it out too to see how well it works, because we hope to have a real throng of people
Yes.
for our event, you know. So what else do I want to talk about? Let's see. If you don't know who we are as Oldsmar Cares, we are obviously the local food pantry, but we do rent and utility assistance. We do emergency funds. We do weekend food for kids. We do job placement through Oldsmar Works. We have all sorts of programs. This is our major fundraiser this year. Because of COVID, we're a little concerned how well it's going to go, to be honest. So we still need sponsors, still need donations for auction items. We still need individuals to go and register for the event, and Brenda will talk more about that. So I'll take it over, Joan.
All right.
hey, Joan.
How are you? All right. So a couple of things, like Mike is saying, we're really wanting people to get involved, come and register on our website, which is oldsmarcares.org. That's oldsmarcares.org, and you're going to see clearly a big icon that looks like an 80s neon sign, and then just follow the instructions once you get there. Some of the really neat things we have going on is, of course, a costume contest, a really great live and silent auction. We've got some amazing things that are new. We have a brewmaster for a day, which I'm really excited about. Chef for a day. We have old standbys like our wall of wine, which is about 40 bottles of wine. And then we also have 88 bottles of beer. So we have a whole collection of craft beer, plus a whole bunch of other really neat things. Like Mike said, the event is streaming. We're gonna have a lot of cool things happening. There's gonna be a costume contest, which I will not be entering because, you know, I don't want to take over the contest. And I'm Joan Jett, so I can't, this isn't a costume. And then we also have trivia. Mike, you wanna talk about the trivia? I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, first for the costume thing, I want to get this in. We're going to take costumes of people dressed today for the event, so you can send in a picture dressed today, but you can also send in, as a second contest, a picture from the 80s of yourself. So I'm thinking like Mr. Beavis. I bet he's got one that we could use. Anyways, so submit both current dressed in a costume or pictures from the 80s. We're going to judge each separate. That'd be good. And then for trivia, every week on our Facebook page, we're going to have trivia that you can answer. And if you go out and register and answer the trivia question, there'll be a drawing at the event. This week's question is, by the way, if you know the answer, you can go out there and fill it in tonight. What 1980 song, I'm paraphrasing, what 1980 song and movie did Irene Cara sing and get an Academy Award for Best Original Song? So if you know that answer, you go out to our website and be entered in that trivia contest.
All right, I think that's all we have. Does anybody have any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Look great.
Dan.
Good job. Good job. And let me just add for our citizens who are watching this and for everybody. As we all know, it's been an unbelievable time dealing with COVID, the impact it's had to everyone's life, the community. I'm reminded right now of the mayor's breakfast, right? We had the mayor's breakfast we do every year, and it's really important in that event that we raise a certain amount of money because that provides Christmas for a lot of kids. And we were concerned that we weren't going to be able to raise the money because you know the large event we do for that, the breakfast. People stepped up and essentially just donated more money to ensure that we hit our financial goal, get us through the year. And so I know that this online event's going to be a fun event and absolutely worth attending and participating in. But what I would ask to our companies, our citizens who normally go to that event, maybe donate quite a bit of money in the auction process, or maybe donate this or do that, or do the same thing. I mean, go out and really do the same thing. Oldsmar Cares has been a critical partner for the city in getting through the worst parts of this pandemic. And they need us as a community to really, really rally for this event. It's very, very important. I know they're working very hard. Like I said, I know it's going to be a lot of fun, but I just wanted to make a point of saying that's how we get through these tough times as a community, because we need them, you know, and they need us right now. So I'll get off my soapbox, but I want to make a point.
May I
Yeah, go
add
ahead.
something? And for citizens, like I registered, and I know that I'm gonna be buying things on the auction. So there's different sponsorship levels. You don't have to worry, you can just do $1, and then that gets you into the event, and then you can spend your money on the auction. So it's kind of, you know, you don't have to donate like $500 or $1,000 to get into the event, $1. So,
Right.
yeah.
And what do tickets normally cost?
I don't remember.
Yeah, so they're normally 75, right? So kind of use that as a benchmark coming in. You know, we just need that kind of support. We just got to raise the money, get through this year, fill up the coffers, because I know that they've helped a lot of people. All right, I'm going to move on. Is there anybody else? One other item. Yes, go ahead.
I'm just waving goodbye.
Oh, goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye,
All right,
Joe.
anybody else on this side of the room? Seeing none, anybody on this side of the room? All right, seeing we're done, I'm going to go ahead and close the citizens open forum. The next item on the agenda is the community minute, which will be presented by our city clerk, Ann Nixon.
Lakes Railroad Crossing closure. CSX Transportation is performing maintenance and repairs to the railroad crossing at Forest Lakes Boulevard near State Road 580. This portion of Forest Lakes Boulevard will be closed to traffic for both directions on Forest Lakes Boulevard over the next few days, depending on the work involved. Please follow signage in place marking detour routes and prepare for delays and extended travel times. Climate Resiliency Plan Open House will be right here in Council Chamber Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. or Saturday from 10 to noon. It's the same information both days. We're just trying to get in touch with as many people as we can. Oldsmar residents and businesses are encouraged to attend this open house. City departments and representatives from the plan consultant will be on site to guide you through the potential impacts of climate for your home and business, how the plan will address some of these impacts, and answer any questions you may have about the plan. And then voter registration deadline. So of course we have a local election going on right here in Oldsmar. Council member seat 1 is open. There are 2 candidates, and the registration deadline is February 8th at 5 o'clock. And so go ahead and register. That's all I have.
Great, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the approval of addition of new agenda items. We have new agenda items 12 and 16. Is there anybody who wishes to discuss either item? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item on the agenda, awards and recognition. Number 1, presentation of Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for 9/30/2019, which will be presented by our city manager, Mr. Al Braithwaite.
Thank you, Mayor. Very excited for this award. This comes awarding to our Administrative Services Department, specifically the Finance Division. It's my background and where I came from, so I take a special pride about being able to give this award to them. Specifically, this is called the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, presented to the City of Oldsmar. And it's given by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada. And they've awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of Oldsmar for the city's comprehensive annual financial report. Also, you've heard us talk about it as we call it the CAFR, for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2019. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by the government and its management. This is the 29th year in a row that the city has earned this prestigious national award. The CAFR is produced in-house by the Administrative Services Department Finance Division, with special recognition going to the city's accounting administrator, where are you, Ratliff? Amy Ratliff, back there. As a team, the group consistently sets the bar at a high level, and the award is a tribute to their excellence. Congratulations to the city's finance division. You want to come up? I'd like to present this to the Director of Administrative Services, Cindy Nano, and her staff, and she'll show you that we used to get one of these every year, and GFOA, because they're all finance people, got cheap, so they gave us one now. We get a button. The button is on the way. Cindy, you want to say anything?
Oh.
Introduce everybody.
Yeah, I wanted to introduce my staff. Amy Ratliff, she's our accounting administrator. John Dauphiné, he's our management analyst. And Garrett Zealiff, our finance administrator. So we call ourselves, or they call them the dream team. So again, thank you, council. Thank you, Al, for giving us the opportunity to apply for this again and get ready to do it again.
Thanks.
Don't go far.
Don't go far.
Item number 2 on the agenda, presentation of the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the City of Oldsmar for fiscal year 2019-20. Al Braithwaite.
Thank you, Mayor. Haven't seen these guys in a long time. This is called the Presentation of the Government Finance Officers Association Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the city for fiscal year 1920. The same department, specifically Administrative Services Division, which is also the name of the department, is responsible for achieving this award. I can tell you, as the former Director of Administrative Services and a 21-year employee, the only reason we haven't done this for 29 years is Cindy thought of it in 2013. So we only have 7 years in a row, but she's got it every year that they applied for it. So a little background, the GFOA of the United States and Canada, as we said before, awards a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award to the City of Oldsmar for fiscal year 1920. This award is the highest form of recognition in governmental budgeting, reflects the commitment of the governing body and the staff to meeting the highest principles of government budgeting. And in both cases, the review process is very, very significant in that it represents the country and Canada, so all of North America. And the review process is done by, some of you may have seen our budget, those of you that attended Citizens Academy. It's a fantastic document. And in order to get the award, it has to pass the review of something like 30 now or something that are government finance professionals that in their available spare time agree to review them. And they make commentary, decide if it's proficient. In some cases, you have to make adjustments. So what we've produced here, thanks to these 4 plus there's more of them, but not too many more. That's the core right there. Amazing work that they've been able to do this all 7 years that they've tried. And I'm so grateful for, in my way too long period in this business, you're looking at the 4 best I've ever been around and super bright. So please show your appreciation for this one too. Don't introduce him again.
Council, thank you for giving us such a great city. It makes it easy to make it look good, so.
This is going to sound like a brag because it is a brag, but there are about 39,000 local governments in the country and about 1,600 receive this award, so I'm okay at math. That's less than 5%.
Great job,
Excellent.
guys.
Excellent job. You know, We hear 29 years in a row and now 7 with the newer award that we've been involved in, and I think sometimes it's easy to take it for granted, right? That we just expect that. And we do expect that kind of quality in our reporting and transparency. But I'll tell you something, the caliber, I say this every year. If you have not
Bears repeating.
gone and looked at the documents online and the budget documents and the entire final document that's put together, I encourage you to do so. I remember when I very first ran for city council and trying to digest everything and learn. I had all these questions. I got the budget and I read the numbers at first, and because I'm kind of a numbers guy, I did that first, and I had this list of questions that I wanted to ask, and then I read the entire document, and every one of my questions were answered. It's that well prepared, and it's very important, I think, for our citizens to have that kind of confidence in their government. So once again, congratulations. Item number 3 on the agenda, presentation of Business of the Quarter Award for fourth quarter 2020, which will be presented by City Council Member Dan Sareki.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay. Lordy Lord. When Kathy Horvath sent me an email and said that I was going to be giving the fourth quarter Oldsmar Business of the Quarter Award for recognition, I was like so excited. I was like, I can't believe it. And then when she told me who it was, I was like, perfect. This is a perfect award for a new business in our city. And I was so pleased and honored to give this award. So what I want to do is I want to read this first, and I want to call because I see the whole family is here, and that is just wonderful. Oldsmar Business of the Fourth Quarter Award is going to Orbit Motors, Inc. Was formed in April of 2019 by Vic Sherrill and Jason Natasi.
Stop.
How did I say it right? Perfect. All right, I did. With the purpose of becoming a franchise for express oil change and tire engineers. Prior to the formation of Orbit Motors, the Natasis began looking for property in Oldsmar area in late 2016 and purchased their location in October of 2018 and is located at the corner of Commerce Boulevard and Tampa Road, next to the Learning Center, and I believe that's where you take your kids, right, Katie?
It is.
They broke ground on June 10th. I'm going to take this off. Excuse me. I'll put that back on. They broke ground on June 10th, 2019, and I was there for that groundbreaking, and that was a big, exciting day in the city of Oldsmar. They opened for business on April 9th, 2020, during a pandemic. As a bit of background information on the Natasis, Vic and Cheryl were born and raised in New Orleans area and moved to Florida in 1980. They are alumni of the University of South Florida, both earning their master's degree in electrical engineering, and have worked for defense contractors in Pinellas County for over 20 years. Jason is also an alumni of USF, earning his bachelor's degree in business with a major in marketing. As a student, Jason interned with a nationwide automobile service company, and upon graduation was hired by them. He initially worked managing stores, and after a short time he was able to transition to a marketing position in corporate offices. Jason has over 12 years of experience in the automotive industry, the service industry. Express Oil Change is a member of the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce and has supported the annual golf tournament, the Halloween drive-through, the scavenger hunt. Jason also serves on the Holiday Sharing Fund Board. They also try and support local businesses by using their products and services and hope to remain a vital part of the Oldsmar community. And last thing but not least, Express Oil Change and Tire Engineers recently won Best Looking Lube for that beautiful building on Tampa Road. And this is the award for 2020. This is fantastic. And with that, I would love for the whole family to come up, and I would be honored to present the Oldsmar Business of Quarter Award for recognition presented to Express Oil Change and Tire Engineers 2020 fourth quarter. Congratulations. Hi guys, welcome. Jason, do you want to say something real quick? Because it's an honor to have. That building is absolutely beautiful, and it's a treasure for our city. Thank you so much.
Introduce us to everybody.
Oh, all right. So as you can see, we are a family business and it's a family affair. So I'm Jason. This is my father, Vic, my mother, Cheryl, my wonderful wife, Andy. And then we have Sammy here. We have Olivia. We have Nate, which is my little guy. And we got one more on the way that's not quite here yet. I got to keep building stores for all these kids. But I got to say, we're a family affair, and Oldsmar area has really treated us like a family. From day one, we were welcomed with open arms. The city has worked with us tremendously to get that building up and running, and without the city, it wouldn't look as nice as it does, that's for certain. You guys had a lot to play in that, which was fantastic. And a big shout out to Doug and the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber, as they have helped me a bunch through that as well. What's up, little man? So the Upper Tampa Bay has done pretty much anything I've needed. They have facilitated for me. So I can't thank you guys enough. We're here to stay. We like doing business with you guys, and it's just one big happy family out here.
Thank you so much. And there's a video that the chamber, that Doug did on the chamber about the about his business with.
Maybe with the technical issue.
Oh.
He's talking about the business spotlight.
Yeah, the business spotlight. I'm talking about the business spotlight. And I didn't know this, but the business actually has a basement. I didn't know you could have basements in Florida. I'm from New York, so I was really surprised. I guess if you have old cars, antique cars, you can pull in and they can work underneath your car to fix your car. I thought that was fantastic. That video, by the way, Doug, great job. You want to watch that because they do a lot of stuff for our city, for your car, and keeping it healthy. All right, I guess it's picture time.
Dan, give him the plaque.
Yeah. Somebody.
Award.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Everyone look at me. Hi, Olivia.
Thank you guys.
Too cute.
The city, along with the chamber, had the opportunity on one of our We Mean Business trips to go out and visit their operation. Very impressive operation. We got down in the pit down there. I couldn't believe how clean it was. It was like spotless in there. It was such a great business, super friendly people, and I'll also add this, that while the city certainly, I think, has embraced them as being locals now for us, they have absolutely embraced the city and gotten involved in all kinds of stuff right away, and so we're very grateful that you're here. Congratulations once again. Next item on the agenda is the presentation of the Homer Brunson Ward Schreckengosch Award for the fourth quarter. And what is that award? Why don't you roll the tape and let's explain it.
The Homer Brunson and Ward Schreckengosch Award was instituted in 1991, and what it was for, it was for one of our workers here in the city that was chosen by their peers to win the Ward Schreckengosch Homer Brunson Award. And what the award is, it serves two purposes. One, to recognize an outstanding worker here that works for the city of Oldsmar. And the other, what it serves is that Ward Schreckengosch and Homer Brunson were were both council members here in the city of Oldsmar. Ward Schrettengoss served as mayor for 16 years. His last year on the council serving was 1970. I had the privilege of serving with him on his last year. And Homer Brunson served 11 years as a council member and 1 year as a mayor. And this serves two purposes: to honor Ward Schrettengoss and Homer Brunson, and to honor one of the incredible workers we have in the city of Oldsmar.
Very good. Here to present that award is our city manager, Mr. Al Braithwaite.
Mayor, as you all know, we allow the employees due to COVID the opportunity to receive the award either at the council meeting or at a ceremony that we have in the morning in front of their fellow employees. And the winner of this quarter's award was Barb Schulte, Senior Administrative Assistant, also in Administrative Services. And we had the ceremony this morning out in the front of City Hall. I think we have a picture. We have a picture? There we go. That's Barb. And she was nominated by Kate Farrelly, and she was chosen to receive the award because of her contributions to citywide communications. In the words of Kate Farrelly, Barb has been an ultimate team player. She has graciously and creatively taken over many of the design duties for internal city communications and has been a valuable asset for helping communicate initiatives and reminders for COVID, employee events, and various committees. She always has a great attitude and is willing to help however she can. She lends her creativity to all kinds of city activities and has alleviated a fair amount of workload in other departments with her artistic skills. She has participated in Citizens Academy to learn more about Oldsmar. She makes an impact in the greater community by volunteering for the Guardian Ad Litem program to mentor and help find suitable homes for children in the foster care system. So I'd ask you to help me congratulate Barb Schulte. She also receives, as part of the award, a $125 cash award, 1 vacation day, and a plaque, which I think you see in the picture.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is the presentation of Employee Service Awards. Once again, our city manager.
Okay, same deal there. We offer the employees the opportunity to receive it at a council meeting or in front of their fellow employees. And I mentioned this at the last meeting because Don Jenkins, who received his 15-year service award officially today, actually was on the agenda at the last meeting. You might actually remember that picture.
Yeah.
But today we got that base covered and he accepted it this morning in front of his peers. His 15-year service award was on November 21st, year 2020. He's been with us since 2005. He's a facilities maintenance worker in leisure services. He was previously a heavy equipment operator in parks. Prior to that, an equipment operator in parks. Prior to that, a maintenance operator, which was his original position in streets. I call him the do-it-all team on the facilities maintenance department or division. The kinds of things he gets involved with and responsible for runs the gamut. He is involved in installing pavers, remodeling restrooms, rebuilding pedestrian bridges, repairing trail bridges. He works special events, installs safety nets at the rink, refurbishes the town center fountain, which included the tile work, and he was responsible partially for remodeling the State Street Center. Also responsible for remodeling the new purchasing office, turf renovations at Oldsmar Sports Complex, the back room finished completion at Cypress Rec, cleaning and painting stairwells at city facilities, and nowadays disinfecting the heck out of everything. He's also been a council manager award winner with his teammates on November of 2019 for multiple projects and the quality of work. He's also received completion certificates for training in other above his pay grade disciplines in horticulture, landscape operations, park operations, playground inspections, and heavy equipment, all in addition to the requirements of his normal job duties. And if you need him, he played Santa Claus for the senior luncheon in 2017. That's a guy that's dedicated to the mission. So we want to congratulate Don for his 15 years. As you can see in the picture, we got that done this morning.
He's also a Bills fan.
We'll not hold that against him too much. All right, next item on the agenda, presentation of Council Manager Award for January 2021. And whose turn do you think, did we have one more?
Apologies, Mayor.
Yeah.
The agenda item was actually for Heidi. I mentioned Don because he didn't get the award here the last time, so I need both.
Go for it.
Okay, so we also had a scheduled 20-year service award for Heidi Brennan, an assistant at the library, and you can see the picture up there. We try and embarrass people with the picture from their beginning of their personnel file, but that's a pretty nice picture of her, so a lot of times people are, horrified by it, but that's a very pleasant picture, I think. So her 20-year service award is technically on January 29th. She was hired as a library assistant, originally part-time. Position was upgraded to full-time in 2002. She's worked in different divisions of the library, circulation, children's. She's originally from California. A few things from her file. These are things that supervisors have said about her. Good attendance, team player, always interested in learning, studies up on issues, very positive attitude, joy to work with. She's done it all. She's been an administrative assistant, she's been a customer service rep, a research worker, a library assistant, and all kinds of things. She's very thorough, completes all steps for interlibrary loans, and she makes sure the patrons have what they need. And for 20 years, I think the most significant thing I can say that I remember about her is that, talk about a positive attitude. Every time we try, as management, the council tries to make sure the employees know we appreciate them. And every time there's a gift, we do give a Christmas bonus. We occasionally give an employee gift. We have these awards. And every time, in the entire time I've been here, back when Bruce was manager, anytime the employees received an award, Heidi would write a thank you note to Bruce, and now she writes them to me. And I just had to tell her today that I was so pleased to be able to just thank her for that, because her attitude is infectious, and she just so appreciates being here. You can kind of see it in her, the way she carries herself, the way she works. But every single time there's a stack of them. And usually the way I found out about them was she'd give them to Bruce, and Bruce would tell us to put it in her personnel file or just make note of it. And it's a little thing. It's the same, a little thing to show we appreciate them. She always appreciates us, and I was so happy to be able to thank her for that. Professionally, she's been a library representative on the Employee Action Committee, which means her fellow employees have a lot of faith in her. She's also won the City Manager's Impact Award. She's been a captain of the city's Relay for Life team back in 2012. She's also received the Brunson Schreckengost Award in the past in 2011. She served as the vice president for the Friends of the Oldsmar Library. She's kind of done it all, and I kept going over these things and seeing the same thing. Detail-oriented, great attitude, always positive. What do you need? And I thought this was interesting too. She's always self-critical. When we ask the employees to evaluate themselves before we do their evaluation, and on her evaluation, she was always so humble, like she had a bunch of things that she knew she needed to work on. I thought that was wonderful. So my conclusion was that we can't have enough Heidi Brennans. We want to congratulate Heidi for her 20 years and hope she's around for another 20.
Indeed. Are you ready for the next agenda item?
Sorry, Mayor. Okay.
Next item on the agenda, presentation of Council Manager Award for January 2021. Al Braithwaite.
Okay, so the council manager award, as you know, is kind of rotated, and this month was my turn. So I like to give it to an employee or employees, especially recently, that I like the thought of wanted to recognize those that don't generally get a lot of recognition. Tend to be the field guys, either the guys that are, digging holes for a living or cleaning trees or doing sidewalks or whatever. And so there were some nominations given, and this one caught my attention. And these clearly are two guys that don't get a lot of run, and they're both very quiet. They just show up and do their job. So I wanted to recognize these two guys, which are Matt Danielson and Mike Everhart, and they both work in leisure services. And so I want to recognize them with the Council Manager Award, which we did this morning. See a little picture there with the three of us. And I'll give you a little bit off of the nomination form for this award. It's not going to sound stellar, but a top of both of these guys, Matt Danielson will have his 20-year service award in May of this year, and he's won the Perfect Attendance Award for something sick like the 10th time. He comes to work every day. And so, sometimes that doesn't sound like much, but every day. So Mike has been with us, I think, somewhere between 3 and 4 years. Same thing, every day. And these guys, that when I was talking about Don Jenkins, it's kind of like there's a level of excitement to a degree, because I can see the guys going, well, I don't have to do the same thing every day. I get to fix a stairwell or do the fountain or work on this. These guys have such a repetitive job that they really got to take pride in what they're doing, because in order to get noticed, you got to see the results of what they do. And it's more like, kind of like finance people, you only hear about them if they don't do it correctly. So we wanted to recognize the fact that these guys do a great job with consistency. Specifically, we just called it for their unselfish approach to their duties. And in the course of the last few months, which again were affected by COVID, just a few stats for them. They've installed 75 Burford holly bushes, I think that is, at the council chambers. And they've installed 450 Mexican petunias in the medians on Bayview Boulevard. They've installed 1,900 perennial peanut plants in the parking medians on State Street. They've large branch removals on Arlington Avenue, broken branch removals on Dartmouth and Waverly Streets. Just kind of an example of the stuff they get involved in. No task too large or too small for both of these guys. If you ask them, they'll tell you that's just what they do, and it's all a part of a day's work. So I wanted to recognize them and ask that we give them a round of applause.
Thank you, sir. Very well deserved. And you know, our grounds, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but it does look good. You know, that's one of the sense of pride that I think our citizens have, and it shows. It comes across in their work. All right, next item on the agenda is the Community Redevelopment Agency. We have no items under there tonight, so we'll move on. Consent docket. To announce the consent docket is our City Clerk, Ann Nixon.
Item number 7, approve payment to legal counsel for legal services for the period November 18 through November 30, 2020. And item number 8, approve payment to legal counsel for December 2020 legal services.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
A second.
Approved. Do I have a second? Any discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item, City of Oldsmar. Item number 9, presentation to provide a sustainability update, and I believe our Director of Public Works, no? Ashley, okay, Ashley, I'd asked that earlier.
Even better.
Even better. Well, no offense. No offense, Sam, but let's get to the real deal here, right? How are you tonight?
Good, how are you guys?
Good, good.
Hoping this works, the clicker, we'll see. All right, so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Ashley Painter. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for the city. Been here for about a couple of years, and it's been about a year since we've done an update on what our program is doing. So I wanted to kind of give you guys an idea of where we've been and where we're going. Oh, that went really fast. There we go. So just a little recap of the 2019-2020 year. We had 3 main goals in this year: education and outreach, tracking, and planning. For our education and outreach, with it being a very challenging year to do outreach and workshops and things, we actually did pretty good. We ended up with 15 presentations and community outreach events. Those were both internal and external, and we started with obviously in-person things, and we've transitioned to virtual. We also hosted 3 community events, and I will say, surprisingly enough, that this year, even though we've had to deal with COVID, our events and our workshops were more, we had more participants in this past year than we have in previous years at our events and at our workshops. So that was a kind of a nice little boost. I don't know if it's just because people wanted to get out of their house and go clean up the waterway or, but we did have a really good turnout for those events. We did officially relaunch our Adopt a Street program this year and had a 78% adoption rate within the city, within the streets that we had, which is a pretty good turnout for the first year. Thank Councilmember Siraki, because he is one of our street adopters. We've also done a few other social media campaigns to kind of get people to understand not only what sustainability is in the city, but to understand the city as a whole. Of things like what our fire department does, what our public works departments. We want everyone to take pride in what we do here in the city, and that's part of the sustainability effort. The other thing that we did, our tracking, we were recognized as a gold certified city with the Florida Green Building Coalition. And as I guess it was last month or the month before, they came and presented the award to us. We found out that we were actually the third highest ranked city in the state of Florida, which is pretty cool for the size that we are. And we also continue doing our basic normal things like the municipal sewer storm. There's 4 S's. There. I always
That's the
forget.
last is stuff. Sewer storm.
Stuff. There's the one S I always forget. And lastly, we began our climate resiliency plan this year, which is what we'll talk a bit more about later in the presentation, because that went over a couple years. So now we're going to move on to what we are planning for 2020 and 2021. We are narrowing down to education and outreach, and the climate resiliency plan are our 2 biggest things this year. Don't know.
It's touchy.
No, what is happening? Let's see. Come on, there you go. We got it. So the education and outreach, obviously as things go along, we'll see how the workshops turn out. We do have a few outdoor things planned so that we can distance and we can stay away from each other, but we do have popular ones like rain barrels that we get asked for every single year. We are planning some different Earth Week events. This year when we did our recycle event that's very popular, we actually had more cars come through than we have in 2 years combined. So it was a very highly attended this year, probably because everybody's stuck home and cleaning out their drawers. And we also have a few other things that we're continuing with our outreach as well, both internally and externally, because we do also want to concentrate on our staff as well. We want our staff to be ambassadors for our city. So to go out there and understand and be representatives of what we want to be. So next, we're going to move on to the climate resiliency plan. And this one's pretty big. It's a major project we're undertaking. We have just completed the first phase of it. We're about halfway through the plan. Our first phase, what we went through is we evaluated what the climate risks are to the city, what will affect us here. Obviously, we didn't look at things like extreme snow events and things because that doesn't affect us. So we are looking at 5 things: sea level rise, storm surge, extreme heat, extreme precipitation, and inland flooding. After we did that, we identified all of the affected systems that would be affected, whether that's roads, infrastructure, buildings, kind of everything within the city. We looked at not only how they would physically be affected, but how they would affect our services as well. So maybe the library is closed down. What are the services that we would lose if we lost the library? Next, we went on to create maps and models in a vulnerability assessment. So all these things that are that will be affected, we polled our staff. We pulled data from across the county, the state, the area, and we put all those things together to see how each of our systems would be affected and kind of ranked them a little bit. And when we say vulnerability, we're looking at the exposure to the event, the sensitivity. So sensitivity would be how you would be able to adapt. So like Mobley Bayou maybe have high exposure, but it's low sensitivity to flooding because it can adapt really well for water coming in and out, better than say the council chamber building. And we also looked at community impact, which this is what actually makes our plan a little bit different than most of the ones that are going around. Most of them just look at the actual exposure and sensitivity, and they don't really take into account the community aspect, what your citizens are losing from services that we provide because of these events, and how we can continue providing those services in the face of a storm, as we saw with Etta, how we adapted to these things, and how we can continue doing that work. All right. Going crazy again. Oh, one more. There we go. 4th time's a charm. All right, so we have just entered into our phase 2 part. And our phase 2 is going to be, we are still working with our internal group, but it's highly, it's going more towards our public outreach and our community input. We're starting to rank our vulnerabilities and prioritize what is the most important things that are happening. And this is where we want our citizen input on this, because what we think might be the most important is not necessarily what our citizens think is the most important of what we need to protect and to shore up. So as we do this, we're gonna have a Thursday and Saturday, as Ann told us earlier, we're having 2 open house meetings to introduce everybody to what we're doing and kind of get initial feedback of what everyone thinks we should do going forward. And then in March, we'll have 2 workshops where we'll actually have lists of assets and strategies and plans and have people go through and think through the process of what would you do? What is most important to you? Why would you choose these things? Because that's going to go into our final plan of understanding why is this your top priority? And that will go into our final rankings and final suggestions of actions to be taken in the next, anywhere from the next couple years up to the next 20 or 30 years, because this is a very long-term plan. It's not something that's happening today or tomorrow. It's something that's happening over time. You might not see it in your lifetime, but your kids will, or your grandkids will. And how are we going to protect our city for them? All right. Almost there. All right. So in addition to our plan in general, we were actually able to able to secure grant funding from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Resilient Coastlines program to add alternatives to our plan. So what this does is it gives us extra funding to update our comprehensive plan, the coastal element, to the Florida statute peril of flood. And this just gets us back into all of our compliance with all of the state statutes. This is something that's been rolling through, and when we do updates, when cities do updates to their comp plans, they're expected to add this in. So this will give us that little bump to get it done. We're also going to be updating our community rating system. And the community rating system are things that we do as a city to help our citizens save money on flood insurance. It's the ways that we mitigate flood and help protect our properties and our citizens' properties from flood, help them save in the long run. Right now, we're at a 6, which saves our citizens that are in the special flood hazard area about 20% on their flood insurance, and 5% if you're outside the special flood hazard area. And we're finding with the FEMA flood maps, the new ones that are coming out and should be adopted this year, that a lot more of our city is being included into that special flood hazard area than was before. So this will be a good way to help those that are going to have to increase and have a significant increase to their flood insurance, save at least a little bit off of that increase. And lastly, with our grant, we are doing more community outreach. We had some already planned, but we're bumping it up by doing more digital presentations and education materials. And also, instead of doing 2 outreach events, we're doing 4. And that's just so we can reach more people and get more input from our community. So speaking of some of the digital things that we're doing, we'll see if this plays. This is a short video of Have you heard that the city of Oldsmar is working on a climate resiliency plan? You may be thinking, what the heck's a climate resiliency plan and why should I care? I'm Ashley Painter, Sustainability Coordinator for the city of Oldsmar, and I'm here to answer those questions. The city decided to create a climate resiliency plan, or CRP, to better prepare for the future. We are working with a consultant to determine how things like storms and storm surge, extreme heat, rain events, flooding, and sea level rise will affect our infrastructure and systems. We will be looking across all city assets, from parks and buildings to roads and underground utility pipes. Once we understand the short and long-term effects of climate on our city, we will begin compiling and prioritizing a list of actions that need to be taken in the coming years. This brings us to the why you should care part. Even though the CRP looks specifically at city-owned assets, the information we gain from it is relevant to all homeowners, renters, visitors, and businesses in Oldsmar. We want your input on what you believe should be our top priorities. After all, this is your city. In addition to showing us where we need to shore up our infrastructure and sustain services to best benefit the Oldsmar community, the models will provide you with a better understanding of how your property will be affected. The goal of this plan is to help ensure that we not only survive future events, but thrive no matter what comes our way. For more information about the plan, visit resilientoldsmar.com. All right.
Very good.
that's what we-
Nice job. Anybody have any questions?
Can we get a copy of that presentation?
That's my question.
Any questions? You have questions?
I just want to,
Councilmember?
sure, thank you, Mayor. I just want to say, that was a great presentation, and you are doing a fantastic job for our city. I mean that. Congratulations, you're doing a great job. But I wanted to mention one thing. As I send you those pictures of my orange Home Depot bucket full of those beer cans, I don't know who that guy is. I'm trying to track him down, but I keep Oak Cliff Street clean, and this guy, somebody is throwing these pounder beer cans out every single day.
Oh my.
And I don't know who it is, but I'm gonna find him. Thank you.
You
Great
sleuthed
job.
it out.
Where's Beavis live? Never mind. Oh, he's not here. That makes it no fun. That makes it no fun. He's not here. Anybody else have any other questions? No, I did have a couple questions.
Okay.
As part of the plan, I mean, when I look at this plan, and I remember the process we went through in approving the expenditure for it and the guarantee we got from the director at that time on the value of it, and so I see it, just so you know that. But I kind of look at this as if our emergency operations plan is short term. Where do we protect the assets from the surge? This is after, right? Which makes a lot of sense. You mentioned part of the information that we hope to develop to benefit the homeowners in particular. Is it going to become so granular in the sense of like almost a mitigation plan or things for them to be able to do?
It will in part. We are concentrating more obviously on the city assets, but when you see the maps, you'll see they're not specifically for an asset. You'll see it might be RE Olds, but that's affecting all of Shore Drive. Some of the things that we are proposing for ourselves could be used for the city as well. It could be in the future we do a more homeowner-based suggestions, but things like raising your electrical boxes up high enough, and that sometimes is all you really need. Yes, you might get some water that comes in, but floors can be cleaned. But if your electrical system goes, that's a whole lot different than cleaning a floor or replacing a little drywall. So it's some of the things that we will be suggesting can be used by the homeowners, but it's not, I won't say it'll be specifically for them. It'd probably be businesses will probably, because they're similar sized buildings and things like that, in operations, they might find the actions that we take to be more in line with things that a larger company or business would do.
Got it. And in part, I asked that question because I do recall when we were forced to implement some of the new rules regarding outdoor canopies, I guess they were, like covering driveways and that type of stuff. And some might recall we had a lot of them in the city, and we suddenly said, can't have them anymore. Unless they meet a certain qualification and they're anchored, and I mean it was a pretty big, the citizens showed up with tar and feather that night. I remember because they were not happy. And the truth is, that is a small mitigation step that we required. That in fact, as strict as Oldsmar is, it's one of the reasons why we have a rating of a 6 because we actually stick to the rules. And I mentioned that in part thinking about what's coming, because we've talked about it from time to time, and I hate to say it, but it's true, and that is the stricter flood planes that are coming from FEMA, they have the risk of impacting property values in a negative way, in part, and this is my personal opinion, not because there's historical data that says we're going to have another storm, because we haven't, right? Unlike insurance, you do it based on history. This, they do it on probability, but because of the impact to insurance costs.
Yes.
And so if there are ways that we can come up with to further mitigate risk so that we get to a 7, it might help offset the additional expense that's coming to our property owners on their homeowners insurance. And that would be a wonderful end game as part of this plan.
It would, and that's one of our biggest goals with the CRS, is trying to find those specific things that we can do to increase the points and help mitigate some of our stormwater and flooding. Just a kind of an anecdote is that we were meeting with the Leisure Services Department and going over the different parks. And we pulled up, they mentioned that with Etta that the storm surge at, my brain totally just went blank of what the park name is.
Ariel's Park?
No,
Was it Veterans or Sheffield?
Sheffield. That's the, at Sheffield was higher than they expected, but then we pulled up the map for that, the projected map for a 25-year storm, which is what Etta would be. And the storm surge line was almost exactly the line that they showed that actually happened. So we are seeing that these things are predictive, and they're, they are pretty spot on to what's being predicted.
Well, sadly, the mayor can attest to part of that because we got to see that firsthand, and I've lived in that house through some hurricanes that have come by. That by far was the worst water event we've had over there. Yes. So anyhow, listen, one last comment. I am not at all surprised at the increase in participation, and it's not because people are stuck at home and they want to get out. It's because of the amount of work that you are putting into this, and it's making a big difference. So congratulations. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 10, City Attorney.
Thank you. This is item number 10. It's a public hearing for the first reading of ordinance 2021-01. I'll read it by title only. Ordinance 2021-01, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending portions of Chapter 70 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oldsmar to provide for the definitions of hazardous waste, pharmaceutical, healthcare facility, pharmaceutical, and a reverse distributor, to provide for the prohibition of any hazardous waste pharmaceuticals from healthcare facilities and reverse distributors to be added to any water reclamation facility, to provide requirements for dental facilities that remove or replace amalgam fillings in pre-treatment process, and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was a reading of ordinance 2021-01 by title only.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
So move the vice mayor. Do I have a second?
No, not the vice mayor.
No, she made the.
I'll do a second.
Second, well, I'm gonna let second by Councilmember Norris. City manager, do you have any remarks?
No, sir.
Do we have any presentation from staff?
No, sir.
At this time, I'll open the public hearing to any comments from the public. Seeing that there's none, at this time, I'm going to close the public hearing. Council discussion. Any discussion?
I would like, I have.
Now I did it. See? Councilmember Norris.
Thank you, Mayor. I was hoping that Nan would explain a few things, because it seems like the main thing that's different is the amalgam, and Felicia looked it up for me and said that there were 7 to 10 dentists, but the other one is about, if you look on page 39, all the different healthcare facilities and the pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. So I wasn't sure what had been changed, because it's not indicated, like, this is the new ordinance. I don't know what, I didn't compare it to the other one. I should have.
So is your question, what's been changed?
What's been changed, and what is I understand the amalgam, I understand that, but what's the aspect of the other one, the healthcare facilities, the pharmaceuticals, that kind of thing?
I did go through and highlight mine. I'm Nan Bennett, Public Works Director. So there were no specific changes in the little bit of section 1 that's on page 36 of 154. No changes on page 37 or 38 of 154. When we get to the definitions, the definition of hazardous waste pharmaceutical is new. The definition of healthcare facility is new. Both of those are on page 39 of 154. There were no changes on page 40 of 154 or 41, but on page 42 of 154, the definition of pharmaceutical was added. On page 43 of 154, the definition of reverse distributor was added. No change on page 44, 45, 46, 47. But then on page 48 of 154, item number 18, towards the bottom of the page, any hazardous waste pharmaceuticals from healthcare facilities and reverse distributors are listed as prohibited. If you look up at the top of that 18, which is how regulations read, they're specific prohibited, I'm not saying that word right.
Prohibitions.
Prohibitions, there we go. I knew it wasn't coming out right. And it says a user shall not contribute the following substances to any water reclamation facility. And then going through the rest of this, the entire section on the next page, 149, or I'm sorry, 49 of 154 and 50 of 154, everything from section, where it says section 70-263, everything to the end is new.
So here to the end is new.
Right, that's all the amalgam primarily in there.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question that I had was, who is in charge of compliance? And Al told me that it was the Environmental Management Division, I think.
Correct. And
Yes.
Eric Glass, our industrial pretreatment technician, is here, and he primarily is the one that is the point person. It falls under Public Works, but primarily that falls to Eric. He has made some contact with the dental offices about the amalgam. We got the question that there was some concern if the healthcare facilities had been notified, and he was able to contact DEP today. We are not aware that the state, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, nor EPA has contacted the healthcare facilities like they did with the dentist. And we have not, but we were looking into what we have in business tax records to maybe send a form letter to let them know that we've updated our sewer use ordinance and that these things are, strictly prohibited. I can tell you, I haven't had a nursing license since 1985, but I can tell you that it is not best management practices to put any of this into the sewer.
Right.
You're not supposed to put any pharmaceuticals into the sewer. So I don't believe it would really be a surprise to the healthcare facilities, but it would reinforce that they're not to do that here in Oldsmar if for some reason somebody had the bad habit of doing that. I don't believe it is best management practice to do it though.
Okay, good, because I was a little concerned about the submission of a one-time compliance report to the city. I'm like, okay, well, that's nice, but who's gonna make sure that things get followed up on?
I believe that's under the dental.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
that one's under the
Oh,
dental.
yeah, the dental offices are a little easier to identify. Under the healthcare facilities,
Right,
it's every
huge.
doctor's office, every pharmacy, every nursing home, we don't have hospitals, but if we had a hospital, it's a much wider net to catch every healthcare
Well, we
facility.
have a nursing home which has similar issues, I'm sure, or potential issues, so.
Well, I think
Alright.
this is good for the citizens to know that we're on top, that you guys are on top of this, so.
We have, are you done? More
I'm done.
questions?
I have one. Have we, has Eric found anything in our water? Has any of this come up recently? I mean, have we actually found something?
I wouldn't say thankfully, no, we don't
Here,
we
you wanna-
have to test for it.
Eric, if you could come to the podium, please.
Come up, introduce yourself.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, Eric Glass, Environmental Management Division. Yes, no, thankfully, we do have to test annually and we report to the state. We do not have any current issues with any pharmaceuticals or mercury. Just these are things that are changing, they need to be done, and we're getting it in stone now.
Perfect, thank you.
Councilmember. Vice Mayor.
I'm good. Just one question, Nan. Thank you, Mayor. Just one question.
the dental pre-treatment section, specifically page 49 of 154, it says for existing sources, so meaning owners and operators of dental facilities, the one-time compliance report is due no later than October 12, 2020. So was this drafted like before? Is it going to be retroactive? What the report due date?
Oh, no.
Eric's got the specific.
So this language was just adopted from the state. So all of our current, so our current dentists in the city have already supplied this one-time compliance report to me.
Okay.
And now it's just, now if there's any new ones, they have within 90 days of moving into the city to provide one to us.
You already have them from all of them in the city.
Right.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay.
Thank you. I just didn't want them to get this surprise and then you're past due.
This has been working through EPA for long before I was here. I think at least 6 or 7 years it's been working its way through EPA, and the dentists have known it's been coming.
Yeah.
So they've been getting notification and stuff.
Thank you, Nan.
Very good. I had some questions, but they already got asked, and you answered them. All right. Sensing you're ready to vote, roll call, please.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Councilmember Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember Knapp?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gannon?
Yes.
Mayor Sedell?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2021-01, amending Chapter 70, Article 3, sewer use of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oldsmar, passes with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. City Attorney, anything else?
Nothing else, thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, City Manager, item number 11.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 11 is to authorize the city manager to advertise 2021-003-ITB, which stands for Invitation to Bid for the construction of Harbor Palms Infrastructure Project Phase 2. This project is the second phase of the Harbor Palms Infrastructure Project. The project's goal is to provide improved water service and restore roadways, sidewalks, and drainage functionality, and generally better the infrastructure of the neighborhood. This phase will include Driftwood Circle, Azalea Court, Buttonwood Drive, Chinaberry Drive, Maplewood Drive, Maplewood Circle, and portions of Oakleaf Boulevard. The project will provide new water distribution piping, new water meters, repaving or reconstructing roadways with under-drain piping, replacing all curb and gutter, repair or replace stormwater structures, and provide 5 new 5-foot sidewalks. Design is expected to be finalized by the engineer of record, Ardura Group, in February of 2021. Construction is expected to begin late spring of 2021. Project is in the budget in 3 different funds, 302, 401, 405, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion to approve. I have a second. Any discussion?
Can I say something, Mayor?
Right, you made the motion, you go first.
I was telling Al and Felicia today when I met with them that phase 1, I watched the entire process, riding my bike, through Sheffield Park. I watched the entire process be done from the start to the finish, and they did an incredible job from right to the end with the lines on the street. And I was telling Al and Felicia that we had one storm where usually back at the end of Oakleaf, the water backs up in the street, and it did not back up. So great job.
Good.
Nice.
Good. Anything else? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 12.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 12 is request council to waive bid requirements and award the purchase of a 2021 Ford F-150 crew cab pickup truck to National Auto Fleet Group, doing business as Allen J. Fleet Sales, per the Sourcewell, formerly known as the NJPA contract, number 120716, on piggyback form 17-002D. Fire Rescue is requesting to purchase a replacement vehicle to be assigned to the training captain to attend meetings, assist the departmental administrative duties, respond to emergency and non-emergency incidents, and to provide incident command as needed. It does replace a vehicle that's currently in the fleet. Allen J. Fleet Sales has provided a quote for the Super Crew truck at a total of $38,788 under the same pricing terms and conditions of the Sourcewell contract that I mentioned before, extended in validity to 1/17 of year 2022. The quote includes communication and response equipment from Enforcement 1 for $11,591. However, additional equipment will be purchased for the vehicle from various other vendors in accordance with city purchasing guidelines to an amount not to exceed $4,400. Funding for the purchase of this for this vehicle is available in the capital budget fund for 102, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion, Norris, seconded by Vice Mayor. Discussion. Vote, all in favor signify by saying Fire Department.
Fire Department.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 13.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 13 is adopt resolution 2021-02, revising the budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Attached, please find resolution 2021-02, the revision of the annual budget for fiscal year, same year. The general fund, capital improvement fund, water sewer operating fund, and stormwater utility fund require adjustment at this time. Normally, this budget revision would take place in February, however, it was moved forward in order to provide funding for several large, time-sensitive projects. I'd like to read the resolution by title only. Resolution 2021-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, revising the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2020, and ending September 30th, 2021, authorizing the city manager and the director of administrative services to revise the existing budget. Mayor, that concludes the reading of Resolution 2021-02. I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve first.
So moved.
I have a motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilmember Knapp. Discussion. Question? Kind of question. Actually for the clerk's office, and that is, I see that one of the adjustments is $6,500 for the elections. Is that an unknown additional cost that we didn't already have in the budget? Just curious.
Exactly. I mean, when we estimate the cost, it's based on the last time. We don't have those numbers when it comes to budget and setting that up. So this is just, it cost more for the supervisor elections office.
Well, we gotta have a lot of people vote so that it gets the cost down. Good idea. Vice Mayor.
Just thank you, Mayor. Just one point of information. I had a couple of questions, and I noted some activity on social media related to the repairs of the pier at RE Olds, and a lot of people, especially on social media, were questioning why it was closed. It didn't look that broken. You know, can I get under there with a hammer and some 2x4s and fix it up? And you know, there's a lot of liability associated with it, of course, because my lawyer hat goes on and alarm bells go off. But there's also insurance issues here. And I just wanted to, you know, give the city some credit here. We're not closing the pier so you can't fish just because, you know, we want to ruin your weekend. You know, it's really important that we submit an insurance claim and we have a proper repair done to that pier. It has a lot of foot traffic. It's a really important piece of our infrastructure, and I just wanted to point that out.
That's an excellent point. Somebody told me today, actually, that there's only 2 boards missing. And while I appreciate that, being the next dock over, and I actually have 1 board missing, there's structural damage underneath that has to be addressed. So, but that's a very good point, because it is a little misleading, but it'll get done properly.
Yes.
And as cost effective, I'm sure, as possible. And I'm glad to see that we're adding another person for customer service down in planning and redevelopment. I think that's gonna help with a lot of quick response time that we sometimes get some negative feedback about. So that I think is a really good investment. Anyhow, any other discussion? All right, sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 14.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 14 is adopt resolution 2021-03, creating a future master water and sewer bond issuance guidelines. This agenda item is intended to lay the groundwork for the issuance of a water and sewer system refunding note to refinance the city's outstanding state revolving loan funds, which we discussed at a prior meeting. And this is to be considered by council tonight via resolution 2021-04, which is the next item, as well as to provide for the issuance from time to time, or the guidelines for the issuance from time to time of additional needed water and sewer system bonds or notes. The original master resolution expired as we paid off the 90 series, so we need to kind of put the guidelines in place for any potential enterprise debt moving forward. I'd like to read the resolution by title only, if I can find it. Resolution 2021-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida. Whoops, I get the right one, yep. Resolution of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, authorizing the issuance of a not to exceed $5 million water and sewer system refunding revenue note, Series 2021, to refinance the city's outstanding state revolving loan funds, DW 5214020, DW 5214000, providing for the issuance from time to time of water and sewer system revenue bonds or notes, pledging certain net revenues of the water and sewer system for the payment thereof, providing for the rights of the holders thereof, providing for the issuance of temporary bond anticipation notes, making other covenants and agreements in connection therewith, repealing other instruments, and providing for an effective date. Mayor, that concludes the reading of resolution number 2021-03, and I'm available to answer questions.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Norris, seconded by Councilmember Saraki. Any discussion? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Item 15.
Item 15 is adopt the resolution 2021-04, which we just mentioned, was authorizing the actual issuance of a not to exceed $5 million water and sewer system refunding revenue note with JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. to refinance the city's outstanding state revolving loan funds. Again, I'd like to read the resolution by title only. Resolution 2021-04, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, supplementing a resolution adopted on the date hereof, authorizing the issuance of a not to exceed $5 million water and sewer system refunding revenue note, Series 2021, for the purpose of refinancing the city's outstanding state revolving loan funds, DW 5214020 and DW 5214000, fixing certain terms and details of such note, authorizing the private negotiated sale of such note to JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. pursuant to the terms and conditions described herein, making such determinations as are required to afford such note bank qualified status, designating a paying agent and registrar, authorizing other required actions, making other covenants and agreements in connection therewith, repealing other instruments, and providing for an effective date. Mayor, that concludes the reading of Resolution 2021-04, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So I have a motion by Knapp, a second by Vice Mayor. A discussion. Any comments, Vice Mayor?
Only to thank and congratulate yet again the administrative services team, Cindy and the finance staff for coming up with this, saving the city money, brilliant, taking advantage of a crazy situation. Great job, you guys. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other comments?
Well, just ditto, and this is a perfect example of why you keep winning awards.
That's a good point. For those who don't know, because of the conditions of the market, it's enabled us to refinance at a lower interest rate, which over the life of the loan will save nearly $250,000. In addition to that, it also removes some of the restrictions, specifically pledging future revenues. And so it has some huge significance to it. So outstanding job. Any other comments? Sensing you're ready to vote, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. City Manager, got anything else?
That's it, sir. Thank you.
Outstanding. City Clerk.
Go Pack, go. No, go Bucks, go Bucks. Go Bucks.
Speaking about items of what they want to accomplish for this legislative session. So that was really something that I really enjoyed. And then last but not, another thing is the PSTA, Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, on January 6th, the PSTA Legislative Committee meeting, the board members voted me to be vice chair of the committee.
Very good.
Right? It's all legislative, you work hard, what's coming together? And the last but not least, I have to say, go Bucks.
Okay, gotta do that first.
Yeah, go Bucks, because when the Bucks made the playoffs, when they got in, the first thing I started yelling was, Bucks, Bills, Super Bowl. Bucks, Bills, Super Bowl. That's what's gonna happen, and we're going to the Super Bowl with the Bucks, and I'm going to the game.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Councilmember North.
Well, going last, I tell you, a lot's been covered. So, of course, congratulations to Administrative Services. Our candidates did a great job. I wanted to also offer, my prayers to the family of Renee. And there's two different ways that you can put a nice thing on, words of comfort for her family. You could either do it on legacy.com or the actual funeral home, and you can plant trees in their name. So that's kind of nice in lieu of flowers. That's what I did, plant a tree. Well, I didn't plant them, but so it's, we lost a member of the Oldsmar family. We're such a small town. Our employees are our family. So I wanted to say that. So let's see, everything's been covered. the scam test, I thought it was a scam.
Well, I sent mine to Adam and said, did you send me?
I was
something?"
gonna say, yeah.
I know, I thought it was a phishing scam, so I didn't click on it. So does that mean I passed the test?
No.
It means I failed the test.
You have to actually
I
go
did the same thing with
study and
Ann.
take it.
Yeah. You gotta
Okay, so it wasn't spam.
Program.
No.
Okay, I'll take the test. And I don't want to get into anything about what's going on in this country either. It's heartbreaking what has occurred in our nation's capital, and I just want to continue to vow to live my life the way that I've always lived my life, and that is focusing on what unites us, not what divides us, because we're all God's children, and we all might have different opinions, but we all still can unite on what we agree upon. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, so the Buccaneers. I'm going to end on the Buccaneers because you guys know I'm a huge Buccaneers fan. I've had season tickets since 1980. This is going to date me. I was just telling Katie this story. It's going to date me, but I don't care. I was in junior high. That's what middle school used to be called back in the day. And I went to Buchanan Junior High, and that's when the Bucs came to town. And our mascot was called the Buccaneers. And the city of Tampa did a citywide contest to name the new team. Well, of course, we all wrote in Buccaneers. So, of course, we all thought, and still to this day think, that we named the Buccaneers.
That's a great story.
If you ever go down Bears Avenue, you'll see Buchanan Junior High, right before Florida or Nebraska or whatever, and it's the Buchanan Buccaneers. So anyhow, so I've been a lifelong fan. I was at the Super Bowl. In fact, I have a little pin from the San Diego Police Department because we went to visit the police officers and they gave us this little pin. And I have so many pins and so many shirts and so many everything. I just had to figure out what I was going to wear. And I did go to the Super Bowl. So, you know, it was the best day of my life. I know that's horrible because I do have kids. I do have my sons from other mothers, and while I was at the Super Bowl, we were like, this is the best day of my life. Okay, that's terrible because I don't have kids, but I do. They go, we have kids, and that's the best day of our lives. So that's how diehard of a fan I am. So Mayor, thank you for the hat. Mm-hmm. And yes, I think that mine and Dan's dream is to have a Bills-Bucks Super Bowl, and we won't go any further as far as who's going to win that. But anyhow, so go Bucks, and thank you all.
Very good. I do have a few items. First, my condolences to Renee's family. It's a horrible loss. She was way too young, and she was very well respected and admired by a lot of folks who worked with her and by our citizens. And so it's just tragic. I do want to also take just a quick moment to congratulate the Chamber and the candidates for the job they did on the candidates forum. I thought they both did a good job, and I would encourage everyone to go watch it if you haven't seen it and you're making up your mind. It's a good way to get some feel for them, and then you can send them questions individually if you'd like. I mean, it take part of the process, but they're both working very hard. So props. Good job. Good job. I'm not going to talk about that. Just a couple of things. Just a reminder to our businesses who've been impacted by COVID-19. The Paycheck Protection Program has been relaunched, and I joke with some of the bankers and call it 2.0. It's a little different, but if you haven't looked into it and then you've been impacted financially and still are, reach out to your banker. I mean, do it because it's opening. I know of a few that are opening up tomorrow, their portals, so that businesses can apply and get in line, for lack of a better word. But as a rule, it's typically easy to apply. If you applied the first round and you're still having and received funds and you're still having issues that are impacting, you're eligible to apply again. I mean, talk to your banker, but don't let this go by. You know, these are Band-Aids intended to help get through this period. We've had a lot of people in Oldsmar take advantage of it. Take advantage of the programs that Pinellas County has offered. We had over 60 in the city who took advantage of some of the Pinellas Cares money. That was the federal money that came down. So I just encourage you, don't let that go by. It takes a little bit of time, but call your bankers. As it relates to the vaccination, and this is an update that came from our one of our favorite county commissioners, Dave Eggers' office. As most people know, 65 and older are the priorities that the state has established for the vaccines at this time. I think I mentioned it before. I think we have somewhere around 260,000 people 65 and older in Pinellas County. And unfortunately, because the small amount of vaccine that is still, kind of coming out, we're getting kind of 10,000 at a time, but it's still 10,000 at a time. And so what I would say to our citizens who fall in the age group of 65 and older, go get registered, right? The state has contracted with a company called CDR Health Pro, and the process goes like this. It is go to online to patientportalfl.com, patientportalfl.com, and you set up an account. The reason I mentioned the company's name, because when you go to the site, it's not going to say the state of Florida. It says the company's name, okay? But you go there, and even if they don't have appointments available, set up an account. That's the first step. You set up an account, and what will happen, according to the county, and even to their site, when they have more available, you receive a text message. And so you know to go and try to get an appointment. And unfortunately, I think this is going to be kind of a battle that our seniors are going to have to work through. There's a phone number you can call. I don't know the number, but if you go to the site, maybe it's something we can put up on the links back for our citizens. But do it. Do it. To the vice mayor's point, the pandemic is not over. We may have become more accustomed to working with it and dealing with it, and I think that we are looking at 2021 saying, okay, we're not going to use it as an excuse not to be successful. We're going to deal with it, but this is one way to help deal with it, and it's important. And so I wanted to make a point of mentioning that to everybody. Go get registered. Let's get our citizens in there as fast as we can so that they can get the vaccine for those who need it most.
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to say one thing. I registered, and it's very simple to register. That website's fantastic. And of course, they bounced back and said, you're not 65, so you have to wait. So I was like, okay, I'll wait.
I was going to say,
you look good, Dan.
Wow.
I'm saying that if you register and they lower it to 60 or to 55, you're registered. So it's.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's interesting. All right. Well, there you go.
That's good news.
That's good thinking there.
Yep. So I'm registered. I'm in
You're
line.
registered.
Front of the line. I'm in line. I want to go.
Hey, I want to go too. And I've said this before. My wife and I don't see eye to eye on it. I respect that. I mean, good luck telling her what to do. But we don't see eye to eye. I'm the type. I think people fall into three camps on this. One is I'll go just as fast as they'll stick it in my arm. Two, I'm never going to go and get the vaccine. And three, I'm going to wait and see. Mm-hmm. Right? And so I fall into the camp of the first group, and I joke often and say, I'll be the guy in the crowd with no face mask and 3 arms, triple high five. I don't care.
Oh my God.
I don't believe, well, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. But my point is, it's important. Get registered. Mm-hmm. That's an excellent point that you make. Mm-hmm. Let's get our citizens registered so that they can be prepared. And let's just try to take care of each other like we have. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow is going to be a day when we see a new president come in. He will be our president. I can tell you as a city, as your mayor, respect the fact that we're swearing in a new president. He'll be the president of the United States. And everybody up here has raised their hand and taken an oath of office. That includes a pledge to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And without question, that's what we will do. And America will wake up on Thursday, and we're still going to be dealing with all the same problems we have and all the good things we have. And on we will go. Mm-hmm. All right? And the last thing I have Come on, can everybody put their hat on? Yes. Come on, let's do this.
Definitely.
We're all bound.
Let's get your hats on. All right, you could kind of scan. There you go. Get everybody looking, this good-looking crowd, all wearing the buffs. And so, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor, signify by saying "Go Bucks."
Go Bucks!
We're adjourned.
Ann, did you say go pack?
I said go back.